Welcome to the show, everyone. My name is Adam White, Senior Director of Technical Marketing here at Sumo Logic. I have David Girvin with me today. Hello, David.
Hello, I'm David Girvin at Sumo Logic, technical advocate and master complainer.
And beautiful mustache owner, as
I
we were just
appreciate it.
discussing.
Appreciate it. This is my
To,
IP.
today, we are talking about, or the title of this is Stop Writing Dumb AI Security Policies. Use threat models, not fear. David, I can tell by the title that you had something to do with this.
I know, mine don't always come off as professional, I feel like, on the titles for some
No,
reason.
it's great. It's good. It's real. It's real.
So this
Um,
is a blog that I started based off of CFP. So I did a call for papers submission this year on this because I
yeah.
think it's useful.
It is. It is, and applicable to everyone, as we'll discuss. Um, so, David, let's talk about like how fear is often the foundation of a policy and why that's a bad thing. But also, you and I were talking a little bit about this beforehand. I asked you the question, maybe a dumb one, like, does everyone need an AI policy? And you were saying, yeah. I mean, there's like
Yeah.
no sized organization that doesn't need one.
Yeah, especially now. I mean, everybody's doing so much more with AI. Like, you need to have ground rules in place. Like, I'm saying founder level. Like, if you and your buddy are building something, in the garage on weekends right now, but you're vibe coding and you're using ChatGPT to look at market and all this kind of stuff, like, you should have this hashed out from the beginning. Because even if you guys are good with this stuff, you're gonna hire somebody who's like marketing, who's horrible, and they're gonna just go to town if you give them the tools. So you have to have those controls in place before things hit.
You can be both things. You can be marketing and good at things.
You
But
can. I can be mediocrity at its best.
so speaking of mediocrity, what happens if your AI policy sucks? Like what are the kind of ramifications of that? And then we'll talk about, some things to make it better if it does.
Yeah, I mean, it just leads to the same thing that happens in security across the board, which is shadow IT. Like if
Stuff
you're
going on behind your back that you don't know about.
Yeah, it used to be an AppSec. I'd always describe it as like Chad from marketing just spun up a website. It's public facing that doesn't have any controls in place, and he's just throwing stuff out there. And now you have some sort of lateral movement into your environment, and there all this
Yeah.
stuff you're dealing with. But it's the same with AI. You're still creating vulnerabilities. You're still producing attack surface you don't know about if your company doesn't trust you. So if all of your employees are just going to do it on the side, you're not going to know what's going on until it's too late.
The thing that I've always found interesting about shadow IT is that it's rarely nefarious and
Oh,
actually quite the opposite. It's usually people just trying to do their jobs better, and maybe in a way that they haven't been enabled by the business for better or worse, right? And so they're trying to actually do their jobs with these things outside of the bounds of what the organization has prescribed, but obviously that causes problems from the organization's perspective because they don't know what's going on.
I would even go farther than that and say it's usually the better employees.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like the
right.
top performers that do this kind of crap,
Yeah.
because they are just so mission oriented and goal oriented that they're like, I don't need all of this 15 days for GRC to like tell me my tool isn't good enough
Right.
crap. I'm gonna go
I can
build
have
one.
it done by then,
Yeah,
So like, yeah,
yeah. And I think the only way to solve that, not just in AI, but across the board, it's a cultural thing. It's
yeah.
there's all these attack surface mapping and shadow IT tools and all this. Dude, I hate to break it to people, but it's always going to be a social engineering problem. It's always going to
Yeah.
be a cultural thing. So,
Yeah, you mentioned culture just now, and I think with a lot, GRC and IT security, like there's this feeling that if I even go and ask them, they're the Department of No, it's not going to happen, and so it's kind of like they're asking me to do my job, but they're also not giving me the tools that enable me to do it better, faster, stronger. how from a cultural standpoint can businesses kind of navigate that and do a better job of not being the Department of No?
Well, I think a lot of security is changing, like in a better way. I think a lot of talks and stuff have kind of pushed that, but traditionally security was the Department of No.
Yeah.
They were trying to control everything, took a special type of personality to do it that wasn't always the best for the business. Um, I think the first thing is security people need to start understanding that you support the business. And if the business is not making money, guess what? You do not stay here because
And
no
what
one
does the
wants to.
business actually need to, fulfill its mission?
Yeah.
And then look at how to accomplish that in a way that you can uh, control better or understand better as an organization.
Yeah, and there's always gonna be that balance of like, we would like to have this, but for business to run, we have to make some modifications to it. That's just how the world works. And the Department of No is kind of this like term that we use where it's like every time they come to you, it's like, no, I gotta check that first, or I gotta do this. And a lot of that is one, it's just bad leadership. But two, it's because they haven't built a culture. Their security culture is some nerd in a basement who's angry. That's not security culture. Like secure I people think I'm crazy, but security people should be like rock stars internally. We should be the guys that go around, throw lunches if you're in the office, buying beers for people. We should be doing cool stuff that enable business.
Yeah.
Like,
Leaders.
I just talked to our GRC lead and building a trust website. So everything for go to market, they can go and get anything they need from this one space, and they don't have to go to the Department of No because it's provided for them.
Yeah.
Like security has to figure out that balance of enablement. The other thing is, I think a lot of it, security people don't know everything, right? I have huge gaps in my security knowledge. So their knee
Not
jerk
everyone
reaction,
likes to admit that so readily.
yeah, I'm good at failing. So
No, look, that's how you get better.
yeah. And that's a leadership down thing. If you have leaders who are open with their knowledge gaps and don't take credit for their employees, you know, uh awesomeness, they learn from that and they grow as a team together. And I've always really been into that kind of leadership style. But it's like I think people have to get back to, instead of just saying no, they have to ask like, what are we protecting? Who are we protecting it from? And how can it fail? And if you can't articulate that, you have a huge knowledge gap.
Yeah.
So if you have that
Yeah.
huge knowledge gap and you say no, that's out of fear, right?
Right.
That's not a calculated business decision.
Yeah. Speaking of fear, part of the topic today is, essentially like policies without threat models are just paranoia. So, basically like, narrow your understanding of the world through threat models, and you'll get better results.
Yeah, I mean, I'm I'm that annoying guy. I bang that drum about everything. But I think for me, threat modeling is the way my brain works.
Yeah.
So I do it for business use cases, I do it for marketing, I do it for go to market, I do it for security, but that's just how I work. So obviously, like anything I write is going to be based around that. But if you know, like these are the things we're bringing in, these are the people they're affecting, these are the bad guys, and you draw those out with people who are subject matter experts, you're going to have a way better idea of how you should be writing your policy. And you also, if you take in the cultural account, you're going to be able to write your policy in a way that's an enablement policy as opposed to a restrictive policy. And
Yeah.
sometimes things have to be restrictive. Like maybe your
Yeah.
CEO is super non-technical. Maybe he shouldn't be using a few tools. That's a hard conversation to have, but sometimes, or he needs deep training on them, or, something along those lines. Sometimes there is some restrictions you're going to have to do in there, but it needs to be an enablement.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's that balance between, this wild west that happens kind of in absence of a policy or with not a well-defined policy, and then, making sure that you are not overly restrictive and hindering, the efficiency and effectiveness of the business. So yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. So in that blog that you were talking about, you kind of outlined a pretty simple framework for what good looks like as far as the policy is concerned. We can step through those for our listeners to, if you believe that your AI policy sucks, or if you don't have one, then this is a great framework to build from.
Yeah, and, like obviously I'm the weird philosophical nerd, so everything for me is kind of ephemeral in like how to do things, but I try to give like a little bit of like guidance, and you have to think it how it's going to work and your holistic approach to your
Yeah.
security.
What is the impact of this to your actual business? Yeah.
Yeah, I can't just give you AI policy, uh, but I can give you a way to think about it.
Yeah.
So the like simple framework is, inventory and discovery is the first part. Try to find all AI use, devs, marketing, HR, legal. It's every single department now. And I
Yeah.
think there's many ways to go about this. Um, but you just have to tell people like, hey, tell me what you're using. I'm not going to tell you no. This is not a I'm going to take your toys away thing. I need to look at what everybody's using and then figure out how to go from there.
Yeah.
I think
Right.
this comes down to that if you're a good bridge builder as a security person, if you have your fingers in every single part of the company and you have friends and champions everywhere, then this shouldn't be that bad, really. It may, if
Right.
you're enterprise, it might be a big ass list, but it shouldn't be that horrible if you've already done your job culturally. Um,
Well, just to talk about how pervasive it is, I mean, my wife uses the app Canva a lot,
yeah.
and there's like AI generation inside of that. So even like your graphic design, the graphic design part of your business is likely using some sort of AI, which is like that's pretty non-threatening, you'd think, but again, it's just like bringing all of that stuff into scope and making sure that you understand what's getting put out there.
Well, and like AI is a force multiplier, right? And it covers your kind of blind spots. Like everybody on our marketing team knows that I write in crayons. So I have Grammarly. Grammarly's pretty much spyware. It's literally just spying on you all day, and it's a calculated risk. I know what I'm writing. I know there's Grammarly, but we have to look at those kind of things. Like, is it a
Yeah,
calculated risk? Can Dave sound as smart as he is only with Grammarly. So for us, it's a worth it's worth the risk.
it's maybe worthwhile, right?
Yeah.
But
And
accounting for that as a part of your policy, to your point, is what matters. Yeah,
yeah, and I think like the next stage is just going to be your data classification. And this is kind of old school thought process. What's sensitive, PI, source code, strategy docs. And I've mentioned a lot of things, about IP lately, just on LinkedIn and different places. It's like you got to really figure out what is IP nowadays.
right.
Um, in
If you
that
can
broad
find it on the internet, like on your public site, it's not IP.
exactly. And so if you're like using ChatGPT to run through your source docs, it's not really a big deal if they're public facing. Like,
Right.
and I've seen security people freak out about that kind of stuff. I'm like, we have it on the website.
Yeah,
And
right.
I can be on a customer call, type in a question and have it looking in our source docs and pull up instantly instead of me trying to like, noodle my way through things.
Yeah.
So
Or like we'll get back to you on the next call. I mean that kind of real time ability is huge. Yeah.
yeah. I think the next step is then you're gonna have to put in your controls, right? So you're gonna have allow, monitor, and deny zones, basically. Um, but I think you really need to try to start everything in the allow side with policy, and then
Right.
move it over if you just can't get past something.
Well, and the opposite of that will just breed more shadow IT. I mean, they'll just say, well, this is so restrictive. It's to the point of being non-functionally unproductive. Like I can't get anywhere with this. So what have you actually accomplished?
Well, I mean, I also think it's like you need to be really, really communicative with people on this. So it's like, hey guys, I'm gonna let all of you keep your chat GPT. But
Yeah,
in order to
but
keep it, we have a policy for it, and you're gonna have to sign that policy doc,
yeah,
watch some 5-minute video on showing you the things that you can't do. And but you get to keep your toys. Like we have to
yeah,
play together, right? And like I think that kind of breeds that trust, even though I hate the like trust, we're the trust department. It's like it makes sense, but it's just a little catchy for me right now.
yeah,
But it kind of breeds that trust zone where it's like, okay, they're not the bad guys, and they
Right.
will let me push the bounds on stuff until it's something that can actually cause harm to the business.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
And then, this is the hard part, I think, though, is like guardrails and logging and all that kind of stuff. Um, we're Sumo, so we log everything,
Right.
which is important. You can catch a lot of this kind of stuff doing that side of things. If you're, have logging for your, let's say, prompts or something like that, and then you set some rules because you don't want people to do certain things, like you can pick up on that kind of stuff. But the guardrails, just in general, means you have to understand it. So this is that same knee-jerk reaction thing, like security teams, I hate to break it to you, you're gonna have to learn all these tools. And
Right.
you don't have to be good with them, but you have to understand their architecture. It's like,
Just like you would administer anything else in your environment, you have to understand it to do that, to understand where those guardrails are, how you interact with them, what trips them, et cetera.
yeah, and when I was still a security practitioner, that was like my bread and butter. Like I can write code, I've built security tools, it's not good code, and I'm not a developer. I'm better at
AI can make it better.
but yeah, exactly. But I was good at understanding how things were put together. So the architecture side
Yeah.
was kind of my sweet spot. So on your security team, instead of having GRC review all these things, which is what most people kind of do, why don't you find out who's an actual architect and not necessarily some awesome coder, but someone who really understands how things are built, and let them go at it. Let
Right.
them look at those things because that might be the person that really can, figure out the holes or see if it's safe or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then my last thing is always, don't obstruct.
Right.
We're security is an enablement company within the company, and you know, no is a horrible long-term policy. It always breeds shadow IT. It always breeds, resentment and all that kind of stuff. So
It's also, you and I have talked about so much how like at every phase of technology, we think we're far along, and with AI, we're not. I mean, this is the cusp, it's the beginning. So having that mentality now is not going to serve you well in the long run because it's not going away. It's only going to get more pervasive and more a part of our lives, both, personally and professionally. So, you know, live with it. Just like technology has evolved over time, and you've had to learn how to, advance your, how you deal with threats and kind of every part of the business. Like this is something that you're going to have to evolve, and that doesn't start with the word no. Like,
yeah, it definitely doesn't. I know like a lot of security teams just decided to ignore AppSec, especially when I was an AppSec architect. Like
right.
this is one that's going to bite you a lot faster if you don't,
Yeah,
if you don't figure some stuff out.
don't get on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, there are some kind of policy areas that people typically ignore. And I thought we could step through a few of those, shadow fine tuning, we were talking about llama model, before
Yama.
this. Llama.
Yama.
Ya, ¿Cómo se llama?
Sí. Habla español. Yama. There's two
Not,
L's.
not
I,
enough.
I
Yeah.
know this is going to be an internal fight forever for me, but everybody else is calling it llama model. But yes, Yama models.
Right. Sure. Sure. So what is that? It's good.
Those are like open source LLMs, basically. So let's say someone's just injecting all of your personal, PI data in there or code or whatever. It's training, right? So
Yeah.
after it's trained, you're not getting that back out. So
Right.
that's when that enablement policy really helps. Like, hey, we're using this cool open, framework LLM and you can do stuff in it. Like, do not do these things and you can
Yeah.
play with it all you want.
Can't
Uh,
unring that bell. Yeah.
yeah, that's 100% true. That's a Pandora's box.
And then we were talking about also intellectual property and just the prompts that are written and the questions that you ask or the aggregation of data that you're looking for from the LLMs, like that can contain some pretty sensitive stuff if you're not careful.
Yeah, and it's just like the sharing culture has changed. We had Stack Overflow, and then now it's Discord, it seems like. And like
Yeah.
I hate Discord. I'm just old, man. Like it's just I miss forums, but with Discord and private groups and all this kind of stuff, there's engineers trading information all day, trying to help each other out, which is great. We need
Yeah.
to be to help each other. But dude, prompt IP leakage is one of the ones I've talked about recently. Your prompts are your that's IP. Like if you're building out these super complicated prompts, like I just saw a friend of mine who's a real awesome AppSec guy. He built like basically a very advanced prompt system that they're marketing that's going to be like AI security for React. And I
Yeah.
was like, that's really cool. Like my prompts aren't anywhere near that at all. But if you're building some stuff internally that you're using all the time, it's like that's the companies. Like we have to remember that. Like we work for companies, IP is a thing. So I
Yeah.
don't know if they've figured something out that's just kind of game changer, and then you just paste that in Discord. That's basically like giving away source code. And you have
Right.
to start thinking about it that way.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a weird
It's
thing.
an interest, it's an interesting like leveling of the playing field too. Like if you put something out there that's essentially like a business idea or a differentiator or something that you would like to be unique to yourself, and then you're going to be leveraging AI to build that code, anyone else can now do that now that you've given them the idea as well. And,
Yeah,
it's so that's a maybe a weird example, but it's definitely the world we're living in.
man. Loose lips sink ships, right?
It's
We are back to
exactly
prison rules.
yeah.
Snitches get stitches. Quote me on that. Sumo, I'm sorry.
So there are some browser extensions like Jasper, Rewind, Merlin. What are your
they're,
thoughts on those, David?
they're basically exfiltration tools. Like from coming from offensive security, like some of the stuff I see out there now that's marketed, I'm like, dude, these are like attacks we used to do. Like I was saying, Grammarly is like a keylogger. It's we've taken all these things that were
We're not
attack.
trying to fight Grammarly. We're
No, no, no.
just
I love you,
saying,
Grammarly.
yeah, yeah.
You're the only reason I'm in marketing. Thank you. And they have stuff on their back end. I've looked into it. They're fine.
Yeah,
But it is funny how everybody's taking like pen testing tools and like adverse adversarial tactics and turning them into products. So you kind of need to look at that stuff. What's going on
yeah,
with this? What's it
right.
looking at, right? Because AI is a different game when it comes to what the tooling can use. That's why you're also starting to see a lot of browser extension tools, like SquareX, Layer X, or Layer Y, or something like that. Anyways, they're basically like kind of EDR was on the endpoint, but they're sitting and living in the browser because all the attacks are happening through that now. So it's
Yeah,
another part of your security program. You're like, hey, are we covered here?
right, right. Yeah, risk reward, it's always part of it for sure.
Yeah.
Um, the next one that it kind of made me laugh, like AI written legal docs, like ChatGPT is not your legal team.
No, they are not. And I mean, we have Todd, who's the most special lawyer in the world, and I love him. But but man, they said the first kind of two jobs that were going to get smoked by AI is legal and like general medicine, right? Like,
Yeah,
and we're not there yet. So, I mean, it's getting there. Like, it can build you out some pretty awesome docs. And I know for some of my consulting, I've had to use it for that, but I don't ever just have it write me a legal doc and then think it's okay. It's
right.
more like getting a framework, and then I'll go to my lawyer to have him proofread it and that kind of stuff. You still need a man in the middle. I know everybody's like ready to just go agentic and or even just straight AI for all of their, doc needs, but you really need a man in the middle right now
Yeah.
because I've had some really weird hallucinations happen. And it's getting better and better. But man, I've had some super weird ones, especially with contract stuff. I've seen like warranty clauses put into engagements that don't like you're just like, this isn't a used car. What's going on
Yeah.
here? I think it
It's
gets confused with
every caveat on the Finance Bros, YouTube channels, like this is not financial advice,
this is
like
not
you
legal.
yeah, this is not legal advice. Like
Yeah. And if
run it
anybody
by.
ever thinks they should take legal advice from me, they should go talk to their lawyer because they've made more mistakes than life. So
That was
I'm
extremely
barely
funny.
legal, so.
Okay, and then autonomous agents. Yeah, those are interesting.
So we're, you know, I can't really talk about internal stuff, but obviously we work in AI. We're an AI company. We're building AI things. What the world should know is when we're building AI things, we're going to have engineers, we're going to have AI team, we're going to have security architects that are for AI. Like we'll have
Layers of,
field SMEs
yeah,
all working together. Just because you found some tool that's going to automate your outbound, SDR emails and you're going to hack it together, like you're going to have horrible problems.
right.
Like even if you don't in the beginning, there's a thumbs up. See, it even
Yeah.
agrees with me. Even if you don't in the beginning, it's just going to take one hallucination to ruin your day. The best one I saw recently, uh actually two, was it's a hard hiring environment right now, and
Yeah.
obviously a lot of recruiters are just becoming quite ruthless. I saw the LLM they set up to automatically email everybody hallucinated, and it said the prompt underneath it didn't put the person's name in. So it's like it tells them they weren't accepted, and then underneath it, it basically said, try to sound like you care, even if they're
Oh,
not anywhere near being qualified for this position. Make sure they know that, like, blah, blah. And I was just like, dude, you just
that's
sent that
so
to how
horrible.
many applicants?
Right. Hundreds,
Oh
probably, at
man.
least. Yeah.
And then the other one that I just saw was someone had an add-on to like a cursor or something in their, it was like kind of like a hack together like coder helper, and
Yeah.
they took a picture of their IDE and it had like some crazy hallucination, and it was like, you're killing me, oh the pain, the horror, and then it erased their entire repository. And I was
Lovely.
like, that's a bad day. Hopefully you have Git history and it didn't go after that, but that
Right.
right there is a bad day.
Yeah. Autonomous is, yeah, can lead to
So
some bad things.
I am all for hacking together stuff. Like that's what I've made my
Yeah.
career at. But you gotta be really careful right now. You can't be at the point where you're trusting these things to do things, because even the biggest companies in the world, right? Like we're playing in the space of, the hyperscalers. Like we compete against those guys, and they have thousands of developers and they're still having issues with hallucination. They're still having issues with agents not doing the correct functions
Right.
or not making the right decisions. So I'm not telling people to not build stuff. I think everybody should build stuff, but I'm saying be very careful before you hand it off to your SDR team and be like, I built you an auto mailer. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Yeah. Yeah,
so
absolutely. When people are thinking about their policies like these, the shadow fine tuning, prompt IP leakage, watch out for browser extensions, don't have AI be your legal department, and autonomous agents. These are like really core things to be thinking about that, are easy to ignore, but you definitely shouldn't as you're thinking about what makes a good AI policy.
yeah, because the AI policy I've seen lately has been don't use ChatGPT, and it's the tooling training on our data
Yeah,
and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, dude, those are pretty, I mean, that's 7 years ago kind of thinking.
yeah,
And the other part of it is you need to start doing it this way because the world's changing.
right.
And I know as a company, we don't train on any data, but I'm not speaking for Sumo, I'm speaking for me as a futurist. Every single tool will be training on data in the future.
Yeah,
And we have to get to a point where we can figure out how to write policy for that and do those things, because that is the only way we're ever going to get accuracy high enough that we can actually have true autonomous working going on. So
right, right.
these are like, get it together now on your threat modeling. Like start thinking
Yeah,
about all this
right.
stuff now.
Right. Get in the right headspace and then promote that from a cultural perspective inside of your business. And obviously your AI policy has a hand in shaping that.
Yeah.
Well, David, this has been fun. It's been cool talking about AI policy today, and I would recommend to everyone that you go read David's blog on this topic. So, going to be a little click down on some of this information, but yeah, thanks for the discussion, David, and I hope everyone's AI policies either start or stop sucking and get better from here, as they all
Yeah.
should.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, everyone. And if you need me to roast your old AI policy on
Mm.
LinkedIn after you built your new one from this talk, let's do it. That'd be
We
fun.
should have a bad AI policy competition,
Yeah.
and then like most improved, you know.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I mean. Like if you took some of this stuff and kind of rewrote your AI policy, like I want to do a LinkedIn roast with you on your old one. Like I think that'd
That'd
be
be
fun.
awesome. That would be fun. That would be
Yeah.
fun. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining today, and look forward to seeing you on future episodes.